Well, it is 4 p.m. British time, and this is Chris from Terra Virtua. We're live in our live streaming virtual studio once again with a familiar face and a welcome regular on our channel, Mr. Jim Wheat. How are you doing, Jim?
Hey, Chris. Very good, thank you. All good. Autumn's falling here in the UK, and it's winter weather soon. So last day for t-shirts, I think.
Yeah, you've just been, I mean, how's it all been the last week?
Getting some things back in the physical realm that have taken a back seat in the last 18 months for obvious reasons. So back in residence at L'Escargot in Greek Street in Soho, and also down at Lots Road in Chelsea, where the disruptives are back in full effect under the auction every month or three. So yeah, great to be back. The capital city is clearly getting back up on its feet, and really enjoyed it. So back into the metaverse we go.
I hear L'Escargot is a pretty fancy restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. There's so much artwork in there from a whole eclectic mix of artists, and I'm very fortunate to have been resident there since 2015, and I love taking people around the space, telling them stories behind some of the works, and also seeing if they're up for garlic snails. Chris, no pressure.
Garlic snails, yeah. Who would think we'd go from Dubai to garlic snails? But
you know, it's got a real timeless comfort, L'Escargot, and I love showing people around the place. It's a whole, you don't know what you're going to get from each visit, which artwork's going to be facing which way on whatever wall.
Oh, really? It changes, does it?
Yeah, some of my stuff's upside down, which is fine. The dollar sign and the S and all that can do different things, and there's different.
So is it all heroes and villains that you've got in there,
Jim? No, not at all. This is back to my York collection back in 2014. It's pre-heroes and villains, when it was pure dollar sign acrylic with various themes of me growing up as a kid and things that influenced that work. So there's a real vulnerability to it, but they have a knack of L'Escargot of moving it around different color themed rooms. So the Salon Vert, Salon Noir, and it's great. It's great to get the physical realm, and I'm sure they're going to be earmarked into the NFT space over time, you know.
Mm. So it sounds good. So just to recap for our audience, I mean, you've been with Terra Virtua now for a while, and released quite a few drops. You're one of our main curated artists. How do you feel it's been going?
Brilliant. It's really dusted me down and brought artworks back to life that I hadn't really shared the full stories on, in terms of the inspirations behind them. And in the physical realm, you get a limited time to do that. And as social media and content and engagement improves, it's a real pleasure to send some of these vibes across the world again, and share some of the stories behind both sides of the coin in the heroes and villains. So it's been really good. From the original drop back at the start of June, we're getting up to our 15th artwork now, and we're about to release another 6. So we're getting into the 21 sided drops, and it matches the year, so that's fine by me. Loads of interest as well. People personally communicating me with dollars and art on Instagram or Twitter that are coming up with questions, and the more people get behind these artworks, the more they understand, the deeper the story goes, and as they dip their toe into the whole world of the metaverse, you know.
Yeah, and it is, for a lot of people, that's how it all starts out. It's just they want to buy an NFT, they dip their toe in the water, and it gets very exciting very quickly, especially when they start looking at what's out there. I mean, the market and the landscape is changing so quickly. We're moving from, you know, one-off still digital images to animations and immersive soundscapes, and, you know, numerous variations of a single NFT. And yet you continue to produce the heroes and villains set as if it's a journey. Like it does have a starting point, and it's evolved, and you've moved into disruptives, and it continues to grow. So Like, before we look at the pieces today, how would you say that they fit into that journey, these particular 6?
Well, like with the other drops, I've got 3 what I call original collage paintings that were put together in 2014, 2013, 2014, and showcased physically in DIFC in Dubai in 2015. Now, Destructives didn't come to light until late 2016, and I'm 136 pop art strong into that collection. So what's happened now, some of the requests I've had for Heroes and Villains feature some well-known faces that are now in Destructive format honored in the collection. So it's a crossover of 2, and you know, any artist now has got to be looking at mashing up and cross-examining traditional media with pop art prints, and what brings them both together is the metaverse and the marketplace here at Terra Virtua that gives people access to collect my work. And some of my painting collectors just don't enjoy the pop art prints. Other pop art print collectors don't really enjoy, you know, the more traditional way of collage work. But this covers both angles, but it's both within the blockchain in the digital space. So one's feeding the other very, very nicely with an instant recognizable face that's appropriated in a collection in such a way that you guys have brought it to life with the crypto eyes and the money moving behind, and it's way better than a static pop art print. So what's happening now is some of my collectors in the US and the Middle East are now saying, well, I've got the print, I now want that NFT. And some of my collectors collect like edition number 4 or edition number 8, and they're now following suit with those NFTs to go with their collection. So we're getting into the sticker book mentality of, you know, I've got that one, I need another. And that's where this is going very much with Heroes and Villains on, you know, within this space. And the Terra Virtua community get it. They understand the irony. They understand both sides of the coin, and they understand the cheek of some of this collection as well, you know, where I don't say who the heroes or villains are, and nor will I, but that's down to the person who's buying the NFT for themselves, or even gifting it to a friend, which is starting to happen, you know.
Yeah, no, that's very true. You know, people are finding their own ways to embrace it. Right, well, let's go and have a look at the first one of the 6 that's dropping today at 5 p.m. They're all dropping at 5 p.m. We're going to have a bit of a sneak preview now. So let me just add that to our stream. One second.
And I think the 6 we've chosen this time they have a habit of being on time at the right time and really hit out at the right time. And this first one, it's fantastic the way that Terra Virtua has captured this, because it's pretty much almost like the way I would put this together, with that big bold $sign going across the canvas, which incidentally didn't start off as a blank canvas. It was actually a shirt of a waiter in the local Eat Drink restaurant in Dubai. And Eat Drink restaurant was my staple, really, of carrot juice and shawarmas and real food that's accessible in the Middle East to keep people going, particularly artists that are painting from dawn till dusk and are letting part of the diet slip. So my self-care when I painted this in 2014 was non-existent. It was really poor. The diet had gone out the window, and Eat, Drink, Rest, I wanted this to be the mustard, the tomato ketchup, the greens that I should have been eating more of. And you'll see that green badge, which is the logo of the restaurant shirt. And a couple of times when I was painting in my studio, they'd literally knock on the door, which I'd ignore, and they'd leave my carrot juice and chicken shawarma, like a mini kebab for those watching you in the UK. They'd leave that at the door, and then I'd sort of come out of my cave and eat and drink and get back on with the artwork, because I was going through a very prolific time and wasn't really looking after myself. So the mustard, the reds, that sort of splatter Pollock effect. My real testament to the eat and drink team was that health is wealth, and those guys kept me going, and I had a tab that I'd settle at the end of every week, and they were really, really supportive, you know. So
you say you say it was a very prolific time. You mean in terms of the amount of time you were spending working on this artwork?
Yeah, not just this. I'd have 7 or 8 canvases at any one time up on the wall. I'd literally rip my TV set off the wall, satellite dish off the balcony near Pet Zone Pet Shop near Shakeside Road. It was a real time of frustration and self-expression, and this was pre-celebrity, and it was very much giving the unsung foot soldiers a bit of recognition in the Heroes and Villains collection. So the first half of this collection was very much raw and rugged, and what you see is what you get, like the painting on the shirt, you know.
Yeah.
As I got into the celebrity mindset, getting them to sign dollar bills and meeting them, then that formed the other half of the Heroes and Villains. And in my experience, you know, the Eat, Drink, Rest team were kind of my heroes, and that's why I wanted to make sure that this was featured. And it really is an expressive release of emotion, and I find it quite therapeutic to look at now. And it's the Terra Virtua colours at the start mixed in with this harsh physical reality of all the condiments that I'd often spray all over the place when I was eating, and eating my greens, you know, became secondary. So this is a really important piece of work in terms of giving that nod to parts of society that are often ignored, but are often the most caring during a time of need, you know? Yeah,
you do a lot of stuff where you champion the kind of little guy, and the unsung heroes, as you call them. Do you feel that? How do you think that relates to your experience of living and working in Dubai?
Well, I think I've seen people all over the world, in the corporate world, not just Dubai. I've seen corporate suits mistreat people, what they would say below them in the hierarchy of corporate structure. And I don't really believe there should be a below. I believe in the ideal world that there's a circle of people all with different skills, and you're all contributing to this centrally focused goal. Why does it have to be water or brown water flowing downhill? And I've had experience in various industries of the unsung foot soldiers being mistreated, being taken for granted, being ignored, being patronized, being, you know, bordered on abusive. And you know, the least I could do is, it gives me a real kick to put some of this artwork up right next to some very, very famous artwork as well. And let's see how those two dance together, because one can't work without the other. And there's a degree of humbleness with some of the very famous people, and there's a degree of arrogance with others. I mean, look at the Piers disruptive here, that he's half the price of the Eat and Drink NFT. It's not about the money list at all. This is about, you know, imagine Piers leading into crypto and getting his weight behind Ethereum or ADA.
So, yeah, I mean, you couldn't have picked a more polarizing character, really, for hero or villain.
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant conduit for the whole hero and villain argument, with the people he's interviewed in the US and the UK, with his newspaper column and his tweets, and he's just a man of the times. And, you know, back to his sort of newspaper days, and, you know, the ultimate hero stroke villain facilitator, let alone himself. And, you know, it's put him up. It's the fighting spirit that you've got. And I'm sure he would, having met him myself, you know, I'm sure he would treat the humble guy at the restaurant with the due respect and recognition and a decent tip at the end of it. And not everybody does, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's sometimes depends what view you take of him. He's either misconstrued or misunderstood, or he's a champion of values and views which might are not the media's chosen lines a lot of the time. So he's run afoul of them. I mean, just recently, didn't he? He's got into some controversy over something to do with MMA.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, within the last 18 hours, he's actually made a statement that, a guy that was big in MMA then became a female MMA through transgender decision, and is now kicking ASS dollar signs out of people, ladies in MMA. And Piers is like, how's that fair? How's that even acceptable? And is this the end of single sex sports as we know it, quote unquote? And my opinion is irrelevant to this, but he's right on that, and he's
right on that edge, isn't he? He's that, whatever the controversial topic is of the day, he's out there giving his opinion on it.
Yeah, and he's actually named it. He's facepalm woke, and his book's out from the last 3 or 4 months, and the woke society and all that, and he really questions it from an old guard, but isn't scared to raise it and call it and put it out there for discussion and debate. And it's fuel to the fire. But it's quite ironic that he's chosen that topic on his Daily Mail online article today, and it's all over Twitter, and people are getting involved from all walks of life and all sporting backgrounds, so he really is. It's ironic that we've chosen that image, and Piers actually signed the image that I donated for Darren Gough, the cricketer and TalkSport broadcaster. He has a charity called Care for the Wild, and Goughy's a great fella, and one of the charity prints was, we put this one up at Piers, and Piers signed it, and it went to a great home. So he's endorsed this work and understood the message behind it, and was happy to sign it for the Care for the Wild with the rhinos. So there's that side of Piers that a lot of people aren't actually seeing or even appreciating,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's really great that he's endorsed it.
Well, it helps in, to sign it and for him to pass it on. And, most people are presented with the finished artwork to say, there you go, we've done this. The other way to do it is, be privately commissioned and do it that way, and working with them with an image they would want. And it's questionable whether he'd have chosen that or not. Is that how he wants to be featured in the Disruptors collection, as a hero or villain? And that just links on to the MMA theme so beautifully well. And we've a habit of doing this, Chris, because the last drop, was the Mike Tyson NFT with the crypto eyes, and lo and behold, Tyson that day is launching his personal NFT within the art world, and it just, one feeds the other, and that's exciting to be on point and on time, and leading us on to this, which was complete and utter coincidence that Piers would be MMA vocal with his hands up, and here we are with Conor McGregor, one of the most disruptive of all time, who currently world rankings is 9th in the MMA, having been one for so long, and keeps coming back for more. And you can see what the magicians of Terra Virtue have done is added the lucky charm, the lucky shamrock within the dollars, which is a theme I painted about in California in 2018 with the California collection. And you make your own look, and it's like Conor will show on his YouTube. It's a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of belief in whatever you're doing out there. It takes a lot of luck, but by Jove, does it take a lot of graft, dedication, do what you love, and the money will follow. So this Conor McGregor piece is not just honouring him within his achievements in MMA, turning up as himself, but the success that comes from hard work and belief and determination, and the physical print of this has ended up on some great walls around the world. And a collector of mine near Woburn, one of his family who's recently turned 18 has got the Conor physical one for his his 18th birthday, and that's on his bedroom wall. And he was showing me that last week when we were doing a bit of an art tour, and he said, "Look where I've got Conor, and I see that disruptive every day, and it really motivates me." And he understands that Conor hasn't got where he is through luck. There's a lot of hard work and, all right, a little bit of right place, right time. But that's the classic neon pop art that is the Conor McGregor disruptive.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a bit about that classic pop art look, which was of course made famous by Andy Warhol with that, in particular, the Marilyn Monroe piece. How does that? I mean, how has that inspired you? How do you explain the influence of that particular style and piece of art into Heroes and Villains?
Well, it's me being cheeky, really, and mashing it in, because Disruptive started 18 months after Heroes and Villains was curated and showcased. And it's so important to me as Dollars and Arts that every year, at least once a year, bring out a new collection, sometimes in a new medium, sometimes using a new technique. So between Disruptives and Heroes and Villains, I had the cereals collection, which was screen printed Rice Krispies, Shreddies, Cornflakes, Weetabix, nostalgic cereals that I grew up. But what I was realizing in society at the time, 2015, 2016, was that we were in such disruptive times. Trump was standing for president, hadn't got it. Sport was taking a different turn. Cryptocurrency was on the up. And it was like celebrating the dollar in a way where I could look at icons that could really be honored in a pop art way. And Marilyn was in the first 10. We did a poll in Dubai about the first top 10 disruptives. And it was about Churchill. It was about Donald Trump. It was about the Queen. It was about some of the most iconic faces like Elvis Presley. And even Warhol himself we featured, and Marilyn herself we featured. And it just evolves. And Disruptives has now gone from not just adding to the collection, but people themselves want to be in the collection. They want to disrupt the pets, the cars, wedding anniversaries. It's become part of a gifting facet to the brand. And the NFT space lends itself so well to the Terra Virtua design idea that let's give them crypto eyes. Let's give those heroes and villains in disruptive forms. So what it's enabled me to do is I'm not an artist that's going to hand paint or pencil sketch Conor McGregor, and hats off to those that do. This is designed in such a way that it's almost a cheeky wink to Warhol, who made the $4 famous with his dollar signs and quoting that art is what you can get away with. So there's a degree of this in the brand, and there's a degree of this using the law of appropriation to honor the right people in the right way without taking an image and just copying it. It's got to be appropriated professionally by the design team in such a way that people go, that's one of those disruptives. And have you thought about doing, the latest footballer? Like, I've had a request to do Ronaldo, and I've recently done Ronaldinho, the Brazilian, and it's just given me that at that time I needed something pop arty and funky. And what a better way to honor people, new and old, and heroes and villains within that. So it's kind of pushed the collection on, honoring people from stage, screen, football fields, from all walks of life. So that's kind of what it's done, really, Chris. And hats off to Terra Virtua for accommodating a little bit of boxing clever, and a couple of comments just coming in there about how people love the collection and the concept. So I really appreciate that that feedback. And we're just getting a question in here from Josh, a personal favourite from my Heroes and Villains collection. I have to say, love him or loathe him, it's got to be Donald Trump for me. Because
I thought you might say that.
sorry, not sorry. But in some people's eyes, he's the absolute hero. In other people's eyes, he's the absolute villain. And we did the first Terra Virtua drop of Twitter Trump, and it has to be Trump for me, because to witness the before, during, and we're not done with after yet, by the way, but the before and during, it has to be Trump, who is ultimately the ultimate disruptor and the ultimate hero and villain. So it mashes in quite nicely there with the physical artwork that actually took a screen print from the hero and villain, with me sticking Lego and stuff on top of it, and both screen print and digital print were merged into a physical artwork. And artists have every right to do that. You can mash up and mix and match your creativity. And, you know, I encourage all the artists tuning in and the collectors, mix up your creativity and mix up the platforms that you put it on in various ways, you know, and it just gets your art into different places, and it opens the discussion. But thanks for your question. I really appreciate the questions.
So let's move on to the third piece in the series. I'll bring it up here.
Yeah.
Where is it here? Okay, so this one is someone we all know.
Oh yeah.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I quite like this one, Jim, because I like the raw emotion of that moment, and then the golf ball just pops in and bounces by like there's two different timelines. It's got a sense of humour, this one, isn't it?
Well, you have to, and Tiger's got a great sense of humour, and he has to as well. And I was fortunate to meet him a few times at the Dubai Desert Classic. He's proper best mates with Mark O'Meara, and he was looked after well at the Emirates Golf Club. And humour was something a side that I saw of him. But when he fell away, as it were, from the scene, and then came back in 2018 in America to win, this is the picture that captures that moment with a bit of artistic jiggery pokery as well. And we couldn't resist those crypto eyes about the metaverse, and also that golf ball gives it a little bit of vulnerability, a bit of, most golfers know when they start up and when they're getting out the car, that most of us have had that golf ball trickle down the road or fall off the green, or you're on the road, or life doesn't always go according to plan. And with what Tiger's recovering through at the moment, he's not going to be part of the Ryder Cup. He's not going to be part of the management team of the Ryder Cup. And he's going to be sorely missed, and is very much in the news at the moment. So the reason this is part of this collection is his determination and what he's been through personally over the years. Hero stroke villain, we're all aware of the various facets that humanized the machine that was Tiger. Cost him his aura of invincibility. No one's invincible forever. The heroes and villains aren't invincible forever, but he's a human being, and flaws make us human. And Tiger, if nothing else, proves that he was barely able to walk before he competed again, and he's back in that situation now with mental and physical recuperation, and he transcends the sport of golf and transcends the word of an athlete with ultimate obsession and dedication from day one. And, you know, previous drops, you know, we got Lewis Hamilton live on the marketplace, and similar determination, similar guts, and you know, fingers crossed Lewis can stay on that straight and narrow road and stay intact. And thank you, Amanda Hepburn. What a name that is, by the way. I love that name. Maybe Audrey should be one of the disruptives and heroes or villains, but thanks for the golf ball comment, Miss Hepburn. I really appreciate that. And I think that's what the golf ball does in this piece. It's something that I can't show physically. I can't really paint a golf ball on a hand embellished edition. And once I've been asked to put like a golf glove on a Tiger Wood print for a friend who was coming up to 50 years old, and they wanted to get him a Tiger Woods disruptive with a golf glove on. But I've never seen that golf ball in the physical form on the print. So again, hats off to Terra Virtue and the design team there for getting that golf ball and keeping the fun in the forefront of our minds, which is what golf is for most of us. If you're not making a living doing it, get out down the driving range in the winter, wherever you are in the world, and hit some golf balls and keep the child alive. And this is what this piece is. It's golf is not a game of perfect, and golf mirrors the game of life. Sometimes we're going to be on the green in the middle of the fairway and it's the perfect summer's day. Other days we're going to get up and it's hammering down with rain. Nothing goes right. You can't find your ball. Why have I done this golf game today? And guess what? When you work through it and you learn more about yourself and the cards that you dealt in a given day or week or month, this is what this artwork is about. This is what this NFT is about. It's about those with determination, not giving up. Keep the game going, and fairways and greens and rough and smooth. Keep moving and keep going.
Yeah, exactly. You keen golfer, Jim?
I love a game of golf. Golf was a great salvation for me when I was a corporate hero in Dubai.
Yeah.
From 2002 to 2009.
Corporate hero or corporate villain?
Nah, I didn't say the villain bit, but yeah, I've had my moments. So it was, golf was golf's what you did to entertain. You took clients out, you looked after people on the golf course, you get to know them. But what I found most about golf, it reveals your character. And if you're a vice president of a company that screams of success all the time, don't go to the golf course and expect to be that vice president that screams of success all the time. Show your human side, miss the ball, and there'll be several times where you hit the ball bad, and times when you just catch that ball once well, you'll go back for more. And I encourage people, golf is really getting its act together now. It's humanizing itself. Yeah. It's becoming more urban. It's becoming more accessible. Who doesn't love a bit of crazy golf or a putting green? Or what does it do for us? It forces us to be mindful. It forces us to get in the moment. And, oh, no, I'm not good enough. Well, there's a handicap system that gives you up to 28 shots if you're a man and up to 36 shots if you're a woman. It gives you that opportunity to mix with people, to hit that golf ball. And during the last 18 months, I've got to say, pandemic, golf was one of the few things that people were able to go and do, socially distanced, the flag. And I love it. I'm lucky enough to be resident artist in Dubai at the Meydan Hotel. The track, Meydan Golf, is all about making golf accessible. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to go through a committee. You can wear what you like and you go down and you can play golf on the floodlights in the driving range, even at night when the sun's gone in or the rain's stopped. Golf's accessible. And again, brilliant for business, but brilliant for stepping out of your own world and getting into, right, let's have a bit of fun. Let's hit the ball. I'm a strong fan.
Absolutely.
As you probably gathered, I think there's a great philosophy to golf, and golf's not a game of perfect, and life isn't either,
Well said. Right, let's have a look at this one. Another celebrity piece in a way. Carl Cox on the wheels.
Yes. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Oh yes, oh yes is the name of Carl's book that he's just released, by the way. Have a look out for that. Now, Carl was absolutely brilliant. He was one of the first super DJs I saw back in Dubai. I got up close and personal and spent the evening behind the scenes and then watched him play live at the Atlantis Hotel. But some 25 years before that, in 1990, I saw him at the Amnesia Club in Ibiza when I was a mere 19 years of age.
Wow, I've been there.
Oh, did you remember it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't remember much of it at all. No, I was there I think I was there in 1996, maybe.
Still, when it was they reopened it in 90, and it was a proper sunrise venue, and sunrise and sunset, and Carl's energy and enthusiasm has just stayed with me ever since, about doing what you love. And when I met him, he was at the Atlantis Hotel. Those of you in Dubai will remember Sundance and some of the names, like Noel Gallagher's been there, and the Verve, and had some great times there. And and Carl was due to play in front of a 10,000 strong set, and I managed to get to meet him in the hotel and went up to the suite and got him to sign the banknotes that you see in front of you. But not only did he sign the 10 dirham note at the top, the $1 bill at the bottom, but he also signed the article from ID magazine that featured Carl Cox with hype. So he signed 3 times here, and this is why we've got the $1,000 price tag on this NFT that captures Carl's favourite colours. And look at the top left, Superheroes was a feature in the magazine, and this was before this was allocated within the Heroes and Villains collection. And again, we've got the crypto eyes, the NFT space, and we've got Carl Cox feeling the love. And one of the energies that Carl leaves wherever he goes and wherever he plays from, he's been in Australia a lot lately, and he's Brighton born and bred, but Manchester, moved into Manchester, then moved down south after 6 months with his father, who was a bus conductor in London, and his mother, who was a cleaner. And he hasn't lost those roots. The man's 59 years old. And
Wow.
And again, during lockdown, you'd go onto a Carl Cox stream, and he would just be there by himself, locked down in Australia, in Melbourne, having the time of his life to feel the love. And, you know, if I get too mind heavy with you know, managing prints and art and pop art and disruptives and NFTs, and if it gets busy, I put a bit of Carl on and step back and just paint and craft and paint for painting's sake. And what's brilliant about this is the team have really captured, again, the dollar shot, the snake's head, going from right to left is exactly as I paint this. And we've got that kind of sectioned effect of the colours, the blue and yellow. And no matter dark, however dark you're feeling, which is the central piece, there's always that bright light with Carl Cox feeling the love. And I really wanted to do that, because to mention villain in the same sentence doesn't do the piece justice. But with the underground subculture of Ibiza and the club scene, there's a very strong hero and villain aspect to that, and has been since the day it started, and will continue to be. And there's that, the underground rave scene back through to the organised scenes now, with or without your passport to go and hold your hands in the air. So it captures the time, and is more relevant now than it was when I launched it, you know.
How did you get into the hotel to get him to sign it? Like, how did you get up to the room?
I was in discussions with a couple of friends. I'd been commissioned by a property developer from Portsmouth to do a piece about the Monopoly game called the Monopoly Commission. And his best friend was a real estate broker and said, look, you're doing this Heroes and Villains. We're hosting Carl, and he's staying at the Atlantis. He's going to be at Sundance. And I'm like, wow. I said, well, I believe this is where Donald Trump's going to be. And I believe that, you know, there's a few Heroes and Villains I'm going to be meeting at the Atlantis. And at the time, the vice president of the Atlantis was a guy called James Wyndham, really popular Australian hotelier, based in Dubai. He's running hotels in Australia. But he sort of mentioned that, Weedy, Coxey's coming to play Sundance. And I'm like, mate, I don't want a ticket to see him. I want to honour him in the collection, and can we sign a couple of bits? And not only did he sign, what was really funny, when he was signing all the bits and pieces, and I've got the provenance on the photography, and we got loads of photos, his hotel phone rang, and he picked up, he said, excuse me, mate, he's mid signing the 10 dirham note. He picks up the hotel phone, he went, hello, Carl speaking. I heard, you know, the muffled, can we come and turn down your room, sir? And it was 9:15 at night, and Carl went, you can't turn down my room yet. I've got to pop out in 15 minutes, but I'm not going to be back till 1 a.m. Would you mind doing it at 10? What he didn't say was he was about to go and play to 10,000 people. And he was so polite. He said to the room service girl, you know, would you mind? I'm just going to pop out, and could you do my hotel room later? He said, in fact, you can even do it in the morning. And then he set up his podcast that was going out in Australia at the time. And then out we went, shared a golf buggy with him and his 3 crew. And I went behind his DJ box on the stage and watched from behind Carl Cox to the 10,000 people and watched Carl do his set for 3 hours. And
that's brilliant.
you know, that I'm hoping that comes across in this NFT, that reminds me of why he's featured in it, and that energy that he has and that attitude that he has is something that we could all do more of, and see more of, and give more of. And you can access that right now by tuning into what Carl's doing. You know, it's a real bundle of joy.
And you'll be able to buy it in 20 minutes time.
Yeah, and what's unusual, as I say, not once, twice, but 3 signatures. Normally when that happens, and I normally get multiple signatures, I normally put 1 banknote in and hold a few back, put another one in another year, hold a few back. But this is one of the only ones I've ever done that features multi-signatures. The only other one that's on the previous Terra Virtua Marketplace is the Wolf of Wall Street Fire Flames with Jordan Belfont's multi-dollar signing. And this is the other one that does that. So I'd encourage to get in early on this one, because it's not going to be repeated.
Sounds good. So yeah, right, so that's let's move on to the 5th piece then. I've messed up the order a bit here, but
it's all good. Mash it up. I'm happy with mashing.
yeah, so we got 2 more pieces to go. So just a reminder again, people, that in 20 minutes time at 5 p.m. we'll be dropping all 6 of the pieces that you're looking at now from Jim Wheat's Heroes and Villains collection. So let's look at piece number 5 from our perspective, and that is going to be Elevated Feelings, I believe.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I think this might be the last one, but regardless, Elevated Feelings. The beauty with this is the real center point of my life, because I was previously in construction and structural engineering was part of the speciality, bringing carbon fiber into the Middle East in 2002. So this structural strengthening aspect of the hotels that were going up in Dubai at the time from 2001 onwards. And believe it or not, these 2 hotel plaques are made of brass and they're extremely heavy. And it shows you that reflecting back is that gold, that wealth, that crypto gleam. And this was constructed in 2014. And it was on my wall for some time. And I had to take it off the wall because it was so heavy. And the acrylic in this took me about a month to do, because I kept adding to it. So I kept adding. And what's interesting about this is top right is a $sign. And that's actually made from a 3D pen, a 3D doodle pen, that where you draw, the ink comes out and it solidifies into a very lightweight plastic material. And 3D Doodler was licensed by a company called Precise in the Middle East. And they sponsored my Heroes and Villains show. So when people came into the exhibition on the night, which was in the heart of DIFC, very contemporary art space, they were encouraged to doodle $signs in a 3D format that came out in real plastic that they could take home with them. And that was the one that I did on the night. So it's got physical representation in 3D. Look how much 3D construction's moved on.
Yeah.
Dubai's building structures. The Museum of the Future in Dubai is modeled and built on 3D. And what's happening with the Elevated Feelings is there's up days and down days. But what I'm trying to get across in this piece is that you take off, lift your own world up with your attitude, try and keep it bright, and try and get an explosion of energy and passion into whatever it is you're doing. And it should take off. And some of the construction ambitions that Dubai had in the early 2000s, when I was on the marketing management side, were absolutely insane on paper. Palm Island, what's that? Burj Khalifa, are you crazy? The most prestigious half kilometer on the planet. was billed in 2002, and that became a reality 8 years later with the tallest structure of the world, 818 meters high. So what this does, it juxtapositions my construction background with the ups and downs of life in the art world. I'm hoping the art will take off 6, 7, 8 years ago. Thankfully, it has. And what's quite weird is the lights behind me. You can see that jet coming up. I was going a bit Carl Cox then, but you can see the jet of light coming up behind, and that's what elevated feelings is. And it's for those people that want that NFT that lifts other people up, lifts themselves up, keep going. And this is at the $500 mark. So we're right in the sweet spot. We're right in the middle of the $100 to the $1,000. Of course, some of the earlier Trump ones were $2,500, but we want to make this work accessible. And the original painting of this was the $10,000 mark, you know, the 36,000,
yep.
the £8,000 sterling at the time. And when you're a neophyte artist in the third exhibition in 2014, 2015, people are looking at the art going, I have no idea what that means. When you give them the story about elevated feelings, is you start at the basement and hopefully you get to the top, but what goes up must come down. That's the same in physics, in construction. And look at the crypto market and the NFT market now. NFTs generally are starting to get more accepted. Those that are getting in early are being celebrated. Some of them are flipping. Look at some of the coins that are going in and out and up and down. It's a roller coaster. And that's what a lot of construction was billed as in Dubai. And a lot of that's become a reality. And on they go during the expo now. And on they go to 2030 and Vision 2040 as it just goes from strength to strength. And that's what I wanted to bring in. And this also echoes an earlier drop that we've got in the marketplace here, construction overalls. And that's still available. There's only 10 of them, $100 price points. And that's me painting on the construction overalls. Well, let's make it put a bit of crypto bling into this with the brass plaques, and look at that snake dollar full of all that rich color that's going to take off. And those dollar shots behind, I actually used the tip of the paintbrush when I'd flipped the painting round, and I did those dollar shots at the end. And at the very last edition was that plastic 3D acrylic, proving that nothing lasts forever. And to be quite frank, you can often be in a plastic society. And those brass elevated marks were actually discarded by a very famous hotel in the Middle East. And these brass plaques were due to go into the skip. And
where are they actually from, Jim? Are they from an elevator or something?
Yeah, they were from an elevator in a hotel, and I couldn't possibly reveal it was the Ritz-Carlton. Oh, I just did. And they were due for they were going to be dismantled and taken away. And I was told, you know, if I could find a use for them, then it was the old elevated lifts, and the elevator was getting an upgrade in one of 2 Ritz-Carltons in Dubai. But also look at the wording in the bottom of each elevated sign. It's doors open, doors closed. How's your mind? Is your mind open? Is your mind closed? Are the doors in the elevator open? Are the doors closed? And I'm not a great fan of lifts. I'm not that good in a closed space, and I like to talk. So when people come into the lift, I'm that guy who tries to break the ice and prays that the lift doesn't get stuck halfway through. And you don't want to be stuck with me and my one-line jokes, but there's a degree of liberty within this artwork and elevating ourselves by the people that we surround ourselves with and the energy that we have as people. So door open, doors closed, make the best of what you've got, and hopefully you can lighten up someone's day with this NFT.
One thing I've noticed, or one thing I think runs concurrently through all your work, Jim, is this idea that that wealth and power and dollars it's kind of it's all about opportunity, and it's people taking opportunities. You know, like you were saying, doors open, doors close. I mean, the celebrities that you pick are people, very often sportsmen, who built a career on maximizing the opportunities they've had. Some people are talented at it, and destined for greatness, but others, like your unsung heroes, and these are people also that are faced with choices in life, and maybe they don't have as many opportunities as other people, but it's never like, that's what I feel you're always doing with these works, even the disruptives. If you're holding it up for the world to see, and then you're drawing that big question mark and saying, what is involved in getting to that place? Is it good? Is it bad? That's where the heroes and villains for me comes in.
No, brilliant. I love that's a great observation, Chris. And also, it doesn't mean because it's a construction labourer's overall that the overall I painted on is the overall of a hero or a villain. But that guy who's sending money back home to Pakistan, or Kerala in south of India, or Nepal, he's a hero to his little boy and little girl that are waiting for daddy's money to come home because they're not going to see him for 3 years because he's working. So the hero and a villain is relative in all our relationships. When I drive in traffic, I'm getting far less tolerant of people. I'll flash and let them through, and I don't get.
Are you?
I'm like, thanks for that. That's all right. So who's the hero or villain there? What am I doing that for recognition, or am I doing it to let another car in? So if we drill down the heroes and villains into our day-to-day world and day-to-day lives, that's what I'm trying to encourage that exactly to happen, is highbrow art, elevator shafts, open mind, open doors, and closed mind and closed doors. I believe the more open the mind and heart is, the more chance we got of tapping into the metaverse, the universe, the physical realm, the spiritual realm, the energetic realm, more and more so these days. This is what it's coming from. It's this heart that we've got. How's that working for you? How aligned are you with this from whatever you do for a living? And there's unsung heroes and unsung villains. And I would argue there's bits of it in all of us in how we act. But each and every one of you listening now and giving up your time to learn about these NFTs, I hope there's parts of them that you can relate to in your own life, whether it's, instantly recognizable or an unsung foot soldier, and that's a great observation, Chris. That really, really validates bringing this together,
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take these fantastic pieces of art, well, not just yourself, but all the curated artists that we have on Terra Virtua, and really kind of connect them with their audiences in the NFT space, and make that NFT space more accessible and more understandable through that human connection.
Yeah.
And you and I, we talk all the time about stories that are our life stories, how you've got to where you've got to. And as with any artist, that a big part of that is in your work. And that's what's great about doing art as NFTs, as opposed to the digital collectibles and avatars and CryptoPunks and things like that. This is a chance to expand the technology into something that's more human and more relatable to people.
Well, yeah, and that's partly why the planets aligned for us to collaborate and work together as a team, and it's bringing back to life the messages I was living with, the last decade or two. And there was part guilt with that, part entitlement, part work hard and play hard, and part this is what I've got and this is what you do and this is what I do. And when those boundaries are blurred, with money as well, it becomes so exciting that the metaverse and decentralization of crypto, the metaverse itself is a hero and villain, I feel. And the graph going red, the graph going green, and it's a good day or a bad day, and we've got to treat both imposters the same where we can. But with NFTs, the great thing is that the way that they're curated here on the marketplace, and all artists across the board without exception, you're not just taking anything on, you're taking stuff with depth. And I love dancing in the same space as the avatars and the punks, and I've been asked to look at a series with my gorilla, because it's guerrilla marketing, and I've walked that fine line of being a guerrilla, if you like, in the marketing sense of the word. And someone's asking me to roll out, can you have your gorilla doing various things?
Really?
And, can you? It's crying out for NFTs. Can we have him with a tennis racket? Can we have him with a golf ball? And they'd seen my gorilla on an ice hockey team in Dubai, and we had the Dubai Gorillas, and it was all about marketing the best way that you can. And that's how I crashed into the art world uninvited. And whoever the art world is, I believe it's anyone listening and watching now and are interested in these NFTs. That's the art world. That's what counts now, and that's what I'm engaging with. And that's the beauty of technology and the physical assets that we see within Terra Virtua that I've dropped, are either on the QE2 in Dubai, they're at Maidan in Dubai, they're in London at Lascargo, or they're in private collectors' homes.
Yeah, they're real works of art that have a place, a heritage, and a fan base. It is that transition into NFT of something that you can actually go and see and touch.
Oh, it's great. And, Terra Virtua have had a free reign on the design side. And, I've got to say, I say it every time we drop, but
yeah,
massive thanks to the team and your colleagues. And with what they've done, it gives it more depth, and little comments coming up about cool golf ball. And I love the concept, and nice crypto eyes. And they're comments that I would never have ever got in 1,000 exhibitions, talking as much as I do with passion about a specific artwork. That's technology connecting the dots in a beautiful.
Absolutely. So, just briefly, Jim, because we've only got 4 minutes. What's next for you and Terra Virtua? I mean, I know, but tell it to the fans.
Briefly, I really struggle to be brief. I talked about.
Cut you off, don't worry.
I talked about the metaverse and the different energies. So 2014, before Heroes and Villains, I did a solo exhibition at the Media One Hotel called The Intergalactics, which was me rekindling my childhood with Star Trek, Star Wars, E.T., Close Encounters, Atari computers. We go gaming, we go movies, we go films, and we go space food. So I'm going to be dropping that exclusively from December over a 4-month period at Terra Virtua, and that's going to be out of this world and to the moon. And it's all those crypto sayings that now validate the intergalactics. And that's, I'm really, I mean, we've started work on it now, Chris, as you know. And, for those watching this doesn't happen overnight. There's 7-8 weeks work that goes into these drops before you see them. And that's why the Terra Virtua team don't do it by halves, and bring on the intergalactics. Yeah.
Really pleased to hear that, Jim. Okay, well, that's we're coming to the end of the live stream now, and we don't have much time for anything else. But I just want to say that all 6 of those wonderful pieces are dropping in a couple of minutes' time on the Terra Virtua site. So if you go to terravirtua.io, you'll link to it there. And Jim's on the marketplace, in the marketplace section under Terra Virtua curated artists. So Jim, it's really been a pleasure having you on again.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the freedom of speech, no brief. We just dive in and we free flow, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure, and happy shopping, everyone. And thanks for your interest in Jim Wheat, Dollars and Art. And let's get the NFTs to the moon, right?
Let's go to the moon. See you later. Bye-bye.